What's up, guys? Obviously, it's Captain Obvious, and welcome to the Armory. In today's episode, I'll be going over all of the weapon changes in Battlefield 3 ever since the last patch that was released yesterday to PS3, Xbox, and PC users. Now, even though I may not have covered one of these weapons in the Armory yet, I will still be talking about it in today's video to make sure you guys know exactly what has been changed in the recent patch that was released yesterday. Now, before we get into the episode, I'm going to quickly introduce the gameplay today. I have a lot of cool clips here that I got from playing earlier today. They are all post-patch gameplay, and there's a few weapons in here that I wanted to try out to see what exactly the difference was with them. Those are the M416, the M16A3, and the UMP45. So you'll see me using all three of these weapons throughout this gameplay. The first one is a quick clip from Operation Firestorm TDM. The second and third are from a UMP clip on No Shark Canal's TDM. The fourth clip is probably my best killing spree I've ever gotten with the M16A3. And the last clip is a quick sneak peek of the QBB95 gameplay for next episode of the Armory, which I'll be doing this Saturday. So the gameplay in today's episode is really awesome. The quality may look a little bit different, if not a little worse, because I'm doing a little social experiment here to see what exactly 1080p has on my rendering. So, kind of ignore it. It's not that important in terms of the quality, but just, pay attention to the gameplay, see the sort of clips that I have here for you guys. And if you really don't want to watch the gameplay, that's fine by me. Just listen to the topic, because it's a very important one. But there's a lot of stuff going into today's episode of the Armory, specifically what has been changed in Battlefield 3 since the most recent patch. Now, there are a lot of things changed between recoil patterns, between damages and reload times and ranges and bullet velocities and things like that have all been changed in the game. And honestly, they've been changed for the better, which is very, very good. But no time to waste. Let's just go over every single change in Battlefield 3 up to this point since this most recent patch. Now, the biggest one, and the one that people are talking about the most, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, is the UMP45. The damage has been increased to 34 in close range out to 8 meters, which is a significant reduction in sort of your time to kill and an overall increase in your damage. It's a very nice buff for the UMP45 because, in the past has been a very lacking PDW in comparison to the PP2000 and the PDWR. Now it has a significant place in the game. Now, don't complain about this 34 damage and the fact that it's a 3-shot kill in close range. Remember this: the G3A3, the M240 Bravo, the PKP Pecheneg, the M60, and all the shotguns are all one-hit kills in close range. So it's not that big of a deal. It just gives the weapon a little bit more of an edge in competitive play or competition in closer range, which is pretty nice. The PP2000 has also received a long-range damage increase. It has gone from 11.2, I believe it used to be, up to 13.75, making it not a 9-shot kill anymore, but an 8-shot kill, which is pretty nice. Also, the M1911 has received a minimum damage increase to 14.3, which is now a 7-shot kill in comparison to the older 8-shot kill that it had before. The M1911 now is a very viable pistol, even though it has received that damage increase at longer range, where the weapon may not be suited to. The reason I say that is because the 44 Magnum has received a decrease in its rate of fire down to 160 rounds per minute, which makes it significantly worse in closer range. On the other hand, the MP412 seems like it would receive an increase in its rate of fire up to 255 rounds per minute, which is a very nice buff as well. So keep that in mind. The MP412 now is your go-to Magnum in closer range, but the 44 Magnum still is there for some longer range fire if you need it. But I still recommend the MP412 now because of the significant reduction in the power of the 44 Magnum. The 93R has received a reduction in its damage from 25 down to 20 for maximum damage. It's no longer a 4-shot kill in close range. It's now a 5-shot kill in close range, on par with the G18 and the G18 suppressed, which is pretty nice as well. The 12-gauge frag rounds have received a significant increase to their lethality. The blast radius now is a lot more condensed, meaning you will get those 3- and 4-shot kills more consistently now, and the frag rounds will seem a little bit more powerful than they used to be, after the effects of the last patch. The 12 gauge buckshot damage has been increased from 16.0 to 18.0 in closer range, making it a little bit more powerful on certain weapons. Ones that come to mind with me are the lower pellet count weapons, such as the USAS-12 and the MK3A1. Both of those weapons now are viable options for use with the buckshot. In the past, they recommended to not use them, but now it's a good option because they have received an overall increase of 14 for the USAS-12 and 16 for the MK3A1. So you have a significant increase there in terms of their potential damage output with all the pellets hitting your enemy. Also, they have increased the minimum range of the flechette round and tightened the cone for their fire. So it's more consistent now, it's more accurate. The flechette rounds are a little bit better than they used to be before the last patch. So that's also a very nice bonus as well. I do not have the specific numbers for that, but what I'm feeling here in terms of the increase in damage will go up from the old, I think it was 8 damage per flechette round at longer ranges. It'll probably go up to around 10 or so with this new patch, which is pretty nice. So, there's also been awesome damage increases for the M5K. Now, the M5K used to be extremely lacking in the PDW department because it was extremely outclassed by the P90, the MP7, and, you know, potentially the PP19. So it has a 25 damage in closer range, making it the fastest killing weapon with a 900 rounds per minute fire rate, which is really, really nice. I'm very happy about that. It has a really low magazine size of 30 with extended mags, you know, compared to the P90's 50 rounds and the MP7's 41 rounds, or, you know, P90's 51 if you want to count the bullet in the chamber. It's still very, very powerful in closer range. It just does not have the capacity to keep up with the rest of those weapons. Now, there's also some attachment changes as well for the 5.56, 5.45, and 6.5 millimeter weapons for the ARs, carbines, and the LMGs. The reduced range bonus added by the heavy barrel has been reduced. Sorry, the increased range has been reduced by those from around 75 meters, probably around the 70, which is a pretty nice boost as well. It makes them a little bit less potent at longer ranges because they used to be extremely powerful, but now that the damage out to those ranges has been reduced, they are now significantly less effective at longer ranges, which is pretty nice. Now, I just quickly changed it. Now they go out to 65 meters, not 70, sorry about that. It is 65 meters range with the heavy barrel attached. It's still a nice bonus with the heavy barrel, but it's still not the best in comparison to some of the longer range weapons, such as the sniper rifles or light machine guns. They've also reduced the suppressor range drop-off, so it's a little bit more effective out to longer ranges with the suppressor attached on the 5.56, 5.54, and 6.5 millimeter assault rifles, carbines, and LMGs. It used to be 30 meters for the time when the damage went to minimum. Now it's 35, which is it's a very small increase, but it's still significant nonetheless. They have reduced the range penalty on the suppressor for the Scar H, making it a little bit more effective out to longer ranges with the suppressor attached to it. It used to be, I believe it was 30, now it's 35, which is still a significant increase nonetheless. Now, damage may be very important, as is range and as is reload times, but the one biggest change across this entire patch is the change in the recoil patterns on these weapons. They have all been changed significantly for certain weapons. Not all of them have affected only certain weapons that have been based upon community feedback in the past and how DICE feels like the community uses these weapons to their fullest potential, to their maximum potential, whatever. So, first things first, the M16A3 and the M16A4 have all received a change in what they do. They now have increased recoil to the right. It used to be a 0.3 recoil pull to the right and a 0.2 recoil pull, 0.1 recoil pull to the left. The M16A3 has received a 0.4 recoil pull to the right, making it a lot more pull heavy to the right with the M16A3. The M16A4, on the other hand, is now only 0.3, which is just 0.1 higher than it was before the patch. So, you know, it's not that big of a deal. I actually find that the M16A3 is actually easier to use now because the recoil is a little bit more predictable. So just keep that in mind. Use the foregrip a lot now for the M16A3 because it is very, very potent on that weapon, because you need that foregrip to control the horizontal recoil because it's so different between the left and right pulls. Now, the M416 has received a vertical, horizontal, and first shot recoil reduction across the board. So now the M416 has a 0.15 pull left, a 0.26 pull up or 0.26 vertical recoil, and a 0.2 recoil right. It also has a first shot multiplier of 1.8x. I believe it used to be either 2.5x or 2.0. So the weapon is now significantly more controllable, and debatably is one of the most controllable weapons in the entire game, if not in the assault rifle category. So, the M416 now may be one of the most effective assault rifles. I'm really enjoying it, as a matter of fact. It's a great weapon, very controllable. You do not need any attachment on it whatsoever to increase or, control the recoil. Just put on either a laser sight or a heavy barrel on the secondary slot and you'll be good to go. Now, the MG36 has received a vertical recoil reduction, and this sucks because I just reviewed the weapon, I think, a week ago, and I really gave it a bad rap for that heavy vertical recoil. But I take that back. It's now a 0.4 vertical recoil, which is 0.05 less than it used to be. The weapon is significantly more controllable now, making the MG36 an actual useful weapon in the LMG or the LSW category in Battlefield 3, which is pretty nice. The SG553 has received a horizontal recoil reduction to make the weapon more controllable. In the past, the SG553 has been very, very poor in terms of its horizontal recoil. Now it has a 0.2 left pull and a 0.4 right pull. I believe it used to be 0.3 left and 0.5 right. So it's a little bit more controllable in that regard, making the weapon a little bit better in all situations. The M4A1 also received the same exact recoil increase as the M16A3 with a left pull of 0.1 and a right pull of 0.4. Still use the foregrip on this weapon even though it's more of a close range weapon. You can use it with the foregrip and the suppressor, which is a pretty lethal combination in my opinion. But whatever floats your boat is always what you guys should pick. Don't always go with my recommendations because it always goes down to personal preference in the end. The M4 also received the same recoil increase as the M16A4 with a 0.3 pull right instead of a 0.2 pull right, which is pretty significant. Now, there are a few cosmetic and, possibly, I'm not going to say powerful and important, but there are a few cosmetic and not as important changes that have been added to some weapons in regards to their attachments and the way they function in their certain situations. Now, the bipod bonuses for the F2000, G3A3, M27 IAR, M416, Peshneg, Type 88, FAMAS, and MG36 have all been increased. So the bipod on these weapons are now significantly more useful. Unfortunately, they did not patch the bipod glitch on all of the LSWs except for the RPK, which is significantly a bad thing. They've always lacked in their bipod performance, so now that's a little bit less in terms of their power. I already talked about this, but the MP412 received a reload increase, which is it's bad on that part, and they also received a rate of fire increase to make it more of a close quarters weapon, which is pretty nice as well. The belt-fed machine guns, such as the M240 Bravo, the M249, the Type 88, Peshneg, LSAT, and the M60, are all now more effective while standing still and firing, which is very nice as well. If you guys want to use those weapons, make sure you're standing still to receive the best accuracy possible. The M320 LVG has received an increase to its lethal radius to exactly the same of the M320 regular grenade launcher and the M67 frag grenade. And now there's a few quick changes here I can go over very quickly, hopefully quickly. The M417 is now more effective with suppressor, making it more accurate. The ACWR, L86 LSW, LSAT MP5, and the MTAR are now also more effective with the suppressor attached. The SCAR L no longer suffers from the glitch where it does not receive a recoil increase with the heavy barrel attached. The PKS-07 is more now available on the QBB-95. The M417, now the foregrip is now incorrectly, it used to incorrectly reduce horizontal recoil. That is now fixed. The ACWR foregrip MG36C, the QBB-95, the RPK, extended mags are now fully unlockable. The RPK and the SKS heavy barrel are also now unlockable as well. Also, the MK3A1 is now usable with the flechette rounds in Gunmaster mode, which is pretty nice in that regard. And last, but certainly not least, the UMP45, LOD5A2, MTAR-21, LSAT, and the SKS now all have weapon camos for them in Battlefield 3 if you're a premium member, which is very nice, and I'm happy about that as well. But that is it for today's episode of the Armory. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode and you learned something new and useful regarding the new recent weapon changes in Battlefield 3. If you have any questions, please ask me down in the comment section below. I'll be glad to answer them for you. And as Goldtrix said to me, a lot of the weapons are now more viable in certain situations, which is very nice. Follow me on Twitter. Link is down in the description. And as always, rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.